Hi, this is Bruce Lindsay working with Liz Gallo on our continuing effort to document the stories of veterans. Today we are with World War II veteran Gerald Robison, who served in the Army Air Corps.
Wondered, I don't know, whether Mother could have claimed me as a dependent. She had a major property to take care of, a sister who was not particularly well, we'll say, and I was gone, and that was it, into the service. Of course, I would have protested, I think, because all my friends were very excited. And my best friend lived 2 doors up the street from me, Bill. And he was excited, and about the Air Corps too.
Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
You have to be drafted.
Okay.
They made sure that I knew how to get the draft board to draft me when I joined the Air Corps, and did whatever examining they did on me and with me, which was a test given in the armory, if I remember correctly, at Altoona. Where was I going with that? Yeah. We had a rather large home, 5 bedrooms is good size, and I was willing to walk off and leave Mom with that. Of course, she had my sister, as I say, but Sis had problems. And that's what I left from, because I don't think he could have kept me back.
What year was that?
44, I missed my high school graduation. Came at the month of the graduation. Mm-hmm.
So where did you go to basic training?
Keesler Field, Biloxi, Mississippi. I was sick all night the night going down on L&N train because I had chewing gum in my mouth. Something I don't think I've had since. I really don't.
Do you want to talk about your training and maybe your second, did you do follow-up training after that?
It was hot on the sands, that's way down near the Gulf. And they had salt tablets in a dispenser on the sink everywhere. The boys were basically from Pennsylvania and from my general area. One of them I contacted after I was discharged and talked with, but I don't think he was from that original group. There were a couple of them from around here that I never really tried to look up because I didn't live here for the first 50 or so years that I was out. And I always forget where I stopped.
So what did you have follow-on training after basic?
Oh, it was basically mob training that you did. They could see what you're doing with your arms and legs, and you raced everybody around the exercise yard. And it got a little more strenuous as time went on. But here's one that needs to appear somewhere. They were in a bit of a hurry. They'd been smacked and they wanted to do something about it. So I was stationed not very long term, 17 times in 30 times in 17 stations.
Wow.
I moved. And I began to feel, after I saw where they were taking me, I began to feel that they kind of had an idea that they were in a hurry to give Japan a right cross and take Guam and put us all on there. So I got a little training in this, a little training in that, and a little education. I even had a college class for a little while at North Carolina State. And I guess that covers what I need there. Then I went to a classification depot, which was Nashville, Tennessee. And yeah, they're the guys that sent me on to several places in Texas for the Air Corps, and the first time I will see planes.
So when you went through all those different training, at what point did you get sent overseas?
Oh boy, not for a while yet. I should have listed them in order. I was in, oh shucks, that's my third, isn't it?
Well, if you went to 30 places, you don't have to remember all of them. We wouldn't expect you to do that, but just generally, you went around. It sounds like what you've described as various levels of training, right?
Yeah, I was classified to be in the bombardier group. I've dropped bombs. I bombed Texas oil wells. No kidding. They had a light on at night. We bombed at night. They had a few complaints against us.
I can imagine. So you were a bombardier. Do you remember what kind of aircraft you were in?
I wish I could remember those twin-engine trainer names. The single engine was a 6. The number was a 6 that goes with the letters, which will come eventually. A twin-engine trainer, and 2 people went at once. One would go up front, because it was also bombardier training. The guy in front is adjusting the sight, which really controls the airplane. The sight will make the plane slow down to hit the number you've selected. And you're supposedly headed to bomb that light up ahead. And I'm in the back, and I push the cover off the window in the floor, and I'm waiting for the target, hoping that he picks one that's not an oil well. So that's our going joke. I had never bombed an oil well that I know of, and the bombs we dropped were made up of a couple 100 pounds of sand with a smoke bomb in the top. What you got was poof, smoke. Just what I'm having a heck of a time with right now, that darn smoke. And we would take turns. So I'd go up and take care of the next bomb. And they had very interesting bomber trainers. The seat was maybe as high as the top of the door. I'm sitting up there with a bomb sight. And we're in a gymnasium. And we go along with a bomb target laid out below us, and adjusting the knobs that control the speed of our bomber I'm riding in. And then it will pass over, and you've got what do you call the kind of a thing that's a magnet with a plunger in the middle. And you hit a button that goes, derp.
Actuator?
Well, anyway, that's on the front of it. And I'm guiding the speed of the carriage. And it'll go bing, and you either hit or you missed by any amount of space. And that was the neat thing. They'd put us in a airtight tank with enough seats in it to take care of my unit, my whole group. And we'd all go in and sit down, and it would attain 60,000 feet or whatever. I think I've got it backward. They knew they were going to 60,000 feet, but they didn't get there until we were up there and in it. And then we had to endure the trip down in sub 60, sub whatever it was, oxygen level that they had there. I kind of reversed that at the beginning. And of course, everybody can't wait to be told to get out, because you go foom, and you pile out of there in a hurry. I hadn't thought of that one in a while. So anyway, over time, I woke up to the point that we're getting a little of everything. And one of the nicest, most enduring memories was, this is Texas, I believe, but, oh, okay. The training there is angle shooting. You don't expect that you're going to fire straight on a broadside into an enemy plane. He's not dumb enough to fly beside you. You're going to get a guy passing you on an angle, coming up on you at an angle. So what they did was they mounted machine guns in the bed of a pickup truck. And the pickup drives around a course. And somebody says, "Mark!" and phew, goes a clay pigeon. And you're supposed to bring that down. The guy judged what angle he was going to get you at for that, more or less. And I went through some bombardier training twice. I think I went through that one twice. Hooray! I liked it. And those are all the injurious ones, I guess. And the other thing, which nobody liked very well, there's a name for it and I'll miss it. The shooting range where everything has something wrong with it. Every gun has something wrong with it. You're supposed to be able to ID and fix anything that's not copacetic. And nobody cared for that very much, because one of the things was a runaway gun. You grab the charger and go, as soon as you let go of it, it takes off. And of course, there were other problems, but that one everybody kind of hated. It was enough to wake you up a little. Covers the genuine things. Then the big targeted flags would go by way down the range from you on an electrically driven cart. But you got the target, and you're supposed to fire the machine gun in bursts at the target.
So did they eventually send you overseas? Did they eventually send you overseas?
Did they?
And you crossed the Tell
across the
story.
Mississippi on barges.
Wow.
The train, the whole train.
Wow.
The only time I was in the state of Washington, still, I guess, they sent our bunch to the state of Washington to an Army APO for overseas, where we're going to catch a transport. And I'm going down the chow line, and the regular was an Air Corps. It was probably an Air Corps, because they served better food. Anyway, finally, as we're going down the chow line, we come to realize they've done us a dirty deed. There are a whole bunch of people there that'll never go overseas to fight a war, supposedly. The chow line was Germans, prisoners. Yeah. So I didn't hear anybody jump on the counter and say, "Get out of here," but anyway, we found out they were German. Their German was much better than their English. And then we boarded ship and headed out for Hawaii. I don't know if we knew that we would end up in Hawaii, but I think we did. Manila, in fact, or Manila.
Honolulu.
Hickam Field or that area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you'd think we'd be escorted maybe, but no. We had an escort halfway. I don't know what they thought the trouble might be with the U.S., but we were only escorted out of the U.S., not into Hawaii. I think they were in training too. And I was escorted to Hickam Field to just a bed next to a window. But we knew on the way in that there was a hole this big, and we were told that a torpedo had gone through there and not exploded, not far from my bed, but of course in a different year. It shouldn't have been a torpedo, but maybe it was a wounded pilot. Maybe he got scared, wanted to get out of there. And I drew KP, wash dishes. We went out by air, thankfully, and we touched down long enough to get fuel on Johnston Island. We came down and down and down, and I looked at waves bending over, and I thought, are we going to land in the ocean? Pretty soon the runway came under us, and we went as soon as we saw it. I thought, God, I thought we were going to land in the ocean. And fueled up and took off from there, and supposedly crossed the international date line right near midnight. I've got that recorded, the date somewhere. Oh, that could be interesting. I think it was the 14th of maybe July. Don't know. But I do have it somewhere. And landed where it was going to be. And man, this was labor. They made room for us in a big hurry and emptied a supply tent and a few other places right close to there. And we went to sleep on cots real quick. But I'll tell you, we could hear lizard, there you go. Lizards dropping off the ceiling through the night. I didn't get one on my cot, but they dropped off maybe they have good ways to know where they're going. And then we built our own tent.
Where did you land?
Harmon Field, which probably was built right close to that time, although Guam was an American territory. We called it Harmon Field after Tommy Harmon, a Michigan running back. Where did I get? Oh, well, we're going to build our tent, but it rained every morning at 10. So you're not going to sleep on the ground. So we cut up palm trees and stood them on end and built a floor across them. And the water could go whoosh all it wanted. And there were like 12 of us in that tent, something like 12. I'm not far off. And lived there, and we did all the telephone creation, wiring, set up the telephone exchanges, and put phones in the various offices, and got the whole place wired to go. And I wish I could recall some of the really funny things that happened. I've got one good one. And latrines for everybody. So, yeah, something to do when you have a long seat in front of the switchboard is tune in what's going on. So I flipped the listen in switch, which means they can't hear you, but you can hear them. And the one that remains with me, unless I come up with some other, was a guy all excited and rumpled and calling back home where he had come from. He says, "You got to do something about this." He said, "I was taking these Japs back to the camp where you said to take them, and they jumped me and took the Jeep." So I never learned what happened to that one. But they lost one Jeep for a probably short time. We had a theater that played Hollywood movies, and you walked in and sat on a bomb crate. I don't think any of them had a chance to be full. They had to look empty too. And I could see it from my bed in the tent. A whole bunch of tents were put up. And the special services had all kinds of things there that you could go down into to the supply area and take wood of various nice degrees. We took rosewood and mahogany to build our front porch out of. We built a front porch for the tent out of that. Rosewood and mahogany. I was right in the middle of that one. And there was a little wood, not wood, area populated with non-interesting growth between me and the road. Not much. And an all-black engineering unit, boom, in their 6x down that road. I never saw a white man. I never saw no, never did. But I guarded the road for them. They gave me a carbine and 3 bullets and put me out there at midnight to guard that road. They wouldn't trust us with any real ammunition. And I guess I better go ahead and tell the other side of that one, the one that's in the same category, or I'll forget it, and it's much more fun. I drew guard duty all the high muckety mucks with double silver bars and what have you, all the way up to generals. There were 16 generals on our switchboards. 16. We had the pleasure on our guard duty of guarding their homes. They raised cottages all down the cliffside looking over the ocean. But they were guarded in that situation. So I do guard duty, carbine, 3 bullets, out I go. Poured rain. Poured rain. You've heard guys say it was coming out the top of my shoes. I had boots almost to my knees. Water was coming out of them. And they had a screened-in porch where nurses were being entertained. Well, at least they were ladies and they had military garb. So I was glad when that one got finished, obviously. And they warned us, said, you want to go down to the ocean and swim, take a recognized route. Don't just peel off and go through the woods. Every now and then somebody got it from a hidden Japanese soldier. And of course I could stand there and watch them come back from a raid. Not fun, so I didn't spend a lot of time doing it. Plane had flying over with a hole in the wing, trailing smoke maybe, and one engine out. And now and then you'd see a puff of smoke go up from a crash at the end of the way down the runway. And I didn't stay tuned in on that one very long. Just, I wonder why he didn't just decide to bail out before he got here. And we decided, a couple of us, from Bellefonte, that we were going to find friends. So I found Nate Buller, they call him Field Music Buller. He was a bugler in his outfit. And Dick Baird. I keep forgetting. I've known Dick Baird a long time since. I keep forgetting I knew him in the service. And we had borrowed a Jeep. And we were looking for Abe McGinley, never found him. But he was in a sub. We went to a sub base and tried to pick up Dave. His sub was at sea. And that took care of that expedition.
Did you ever fly missions?
No, I flew only for transportation overseas. I flew training missions in the States. In B-29s, B-24s, and fired at targets from an AT-6, AT-6. Oh, I started to tell one I don't think I did. The pickup trucks, I got that, didn't I? Okay. Mark, pull, boom, boom. That was the one I liked.
Did you ever go further than Guam, closer to Japan?
Oh, yeah. Oh, to Japan.
Towards Japan.
Don't know how close the plane went. How's Manila?
Yeah, Manila's closer.
That's closer.
Okay. Yes. people are saying, "Oh, I've got the number of credits to go home," and they read me traveling orders. You're going. Didn't say home. You're on your way out. I was boarding report clerk there. I took roll in who was there and who wasn't there. War's over at that point. And there is just a frame for an entrance to, I don't know what the Army base there was called before the war. It wasn't Shafter, I think that's in Hawaii. I had a name I thought it might be. Maybe McKinley for the president.
So they sent you to the Philippines then?
Yes, Philippines.
Okay.
Did the morning report clerk. First time I ever saw mosquito netting. First time I ever saw mosquito spray. Spray was coming in.
Where were you when you heard the war was over?
Guam. We had a night program that played, if I were good with popular music, everybody knew that one. Good night, Socrates. And he'd turn the station off the air. And on that station, we began to hear things were happening. And I might add to that, people were flying into Japan in order to take and print pictures of all of the surrender, everything that happened with the surrender, and bring copies back from what they saw and what others had. I wasn't adventuresome in those days. Decided I wasn't going to do that for whatever the reason was then. So, something else might have happened on base. We built a nice porch. Built a nice porch and hauled the overhead out over it.
So after you were in Guam, then you were sent to the Philippines. How long were you there before you eventually got sent back?
To the States?
Yes.
Roughly a month. No more than that. I think a month.
Do you remember how long after the war ended before you finally got back?
They sent me all the way home.
How long till the war ends? When did you get home?
I got home in the 20s of my birth month. 26, I think, of February. Got home February of 46, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And were you discharged shortly after that?
Yes, I didn't stop till all the way to Hershey, where the discharges took place. Boy, they asked if they could sign you up for another term, and if you couldn't, boom, goodbye. Out you went. Go home.
And then where was your home at the time? Were you
Bellefonte.
back to Bellefonte?
Mm-hmm. I was officially a citizen of Bellefonte until 57.
Well, what did you do after the war? Obviously, you had a couple of kids.
Oh, I was in Bellefonte to take courses at Penn State, although I was a supply clerk at a limestone business before that. And then my good friend at the time, Hugh Manchester, historian of Bellefonte, one of them, had a friend, a relative in State College named, he's one of the movers and shakers of the employed group in State. Good heavens, I had it when I started. Bob Taylor, plumber, State College. I was up to see him. He had bought some houses that were built immediately with the end of the war, 46. And he is renovating them to resell. Maybe I was going to help him renovate some houses. I don't know. But he was visited by Dewey Coomrine. And Dewey Coomrine was the local Esso distributor. And he had a gas station in a little town called Phillipsburg that he wanted a guy to run. I said, well, gee, that sounds like something interesting. What I do? I should have shot myself. Except for one thing. The guys know what it is. So I took that, paid too much for it, but took it. I spent one whole winter in there Simonizing electrical repair trucks. Imagine that. I even Simonized the dash panels in all of them. I had time to do it, believe me. It's outside town near the water supply lake. So now I said, okay, I really do want those extra credits. And with a wife and pretty soon a child, we returned to Bellefonte to the third floor of 157 East Lynn Street. For 56 and 57, and I took all kinds of courses at State. And 57, I did my student teaching at, oh boy, I didn't used to forget this. At the junior high in downtown Harrisburg. Who would not believe that the student teaching in charge, the gal in charge of student teachers in that room would be someone who'd ever been to Europe. I mean, those kids didn't understand a thing like that. So I had to spend a lot of time explaining things like that to the gang. But the third day, I think it was, she said, yoo-hoo, I'm going to the library. I was already up front. And if you need me, you can find me there. That's it. She spent the rest of the time in the library. I had a class. Great. And still had questions from them. So I was having as much fun answering their questions because of what she taught them as I was of giving them something new. But I don't remember names. Nellie was the teacher, the guide for student teachers I will remember. I just don't always remember her name. You want something?
Question for you. What would you say to young people today? What would you say to young people today?
Oh, boy.
11.
But,
Going on 30.
you know, say, listen to the people you respect. You better get the word respect in there, because not the people that you admire, but the people you respect. And you admire them because they can be clowns. You wouldn't respect them for that, would you? I guess. And be enthusiastic about something that is not just a spare time enjoyment. Haley, when she likes something, gets totally involved in it. Those two are building a model railroad. And Haley was very enthused. I hope she keeps up her ancient Egyptian interest. And she came here to the open house of the model railroad and went up to the guy running the whole show and smiled. And I don't know if she got to flip a switch or anything or not, but she'd say, here, flip this one. Anyway, she was really enthused. I hope she doesn't, and I would add, be enthusiastic about something worthwhile that the world will respect.